Hello, everyone. This is Margaret Manning with 60 and Me. This is the place where women over 60 come to be inspired. And as we get into our 60s, we start thinking about our youth and how things were a little different then, and realize sometimes that we're a bit of a victim of the stereotypes of aging. And my guest today is John Tarnoff. John is a career development consultant. He's also a speaker and an educator, and he has set it upon himself. It's his mission to help boomers, men and women, to reinvent themselves in a way that they celebrate their age and, move forward into a reinvented life. So, John, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Margaret. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I'm really glad that you're here because this topic of aging and the society's obsession with youth is on the mind of our community of women. And I would just like your insights and your opinions about what you think is going on with this obsession with youth, and just we don't seem to be able to break through that. What do you think?
Well, ironically, we kind of started it. We're kind of responsible for this, our generation. Yeah. There are about 76 million boomers born between 1946 and 1964. And the advertising agency was laying in wait for us. And, we became the Pepsi generation. And I think there's no coincidence that the swinging 60s and all of that media attention to our generation as we grew up really transformed the way society looks at youth, and it kind of lit a fuse which, supported by the media, then took off, and here we are in this situation. Having said that, I think that if you look at classical Greek sculpture, there are no 7-foot nudes of Socrates. They're
that's
all
probably a good thing.
young nymphs and boys. So I think the preoccupation with youth has been with us forever, and vitality and masculinity, femininity, all that stuff. So that's okay. I think the issue is about how we see ourselves and where we see ourselves fitting. And are we going to try to unnecessarily, unreasonably preserve something that is no longer there, versus accepting who we are and really finding the wonderfulness about us in this time. And I remember seeing Maya Angelou a few years ago, well before she died, on Oprah.
Yes.
I'm a guy, and I admit that I was watching Oprah. So there was this wonderful show where Maya Angelou had just turned 80, I think. And Oprah said to her, "So how's 80?" And she looked into the audience with this kind of rapturous expression, and she said to the audience, "Oh, it's amazing." She said, "I want all of you in the audience to live into your 80s because I'm having an amazing time." She said, "I thought the 70s were amazing, but the 80s are amazingly more than that." So I thought, wow, how fantastic is that, to be enjoying your life so much and feeling so good about yourself the older you get.
Well, it really talks about this changing perception of beauty, that when we look in the mirror today, we see the wrinkles, we see the crow's nest or whatever they call them, and we still, in some ways, we look at the beautiful parts about us, or maybe some people don't. I mean, what would you say are the common aging stereotypes that we need to overcome in order to get to that point that Maya Angelou got to, where you're that gratitude for your age?
Our generation is a pioneering generation. And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be pioneering in this way of aging gracefully, just as we were pioneering in so many lifestyle questions when we were growing up. We were talking before, and I like to say that I don't believe in ageism, I believe in stylism. And I would encourage all of us growing older, beyond our 50s into our 60s and our 70s, to think about our style and to think about reinventing our style. I have to say, I see a lot of men and women my age who look a lot older than I think they need to look. And by older, I mean kind of run down, not physically fit, not taking care of their appearance, not really paying much attention to how they could make a statement about who they are through their appearance, relying on old ideas about who they are, how they dress, what their bodies are. I certainly believe that we need to accept who we are as we get older. That doesn't mean that we have to stop taking care of ourselves and stop being the best we can be.
Yeah, it's kind of like not buying into the stereotypes, though, because I know, we talked about this earlier, that, many boomers have gone through these phases in their lives where they just expected they would go to school, they would go to college, they would work for X 40 years, and then they would, quote, retire. And that isn't the world anymore. That is one of the myths of aging, I think, isn't it? That
Absolutely. I think we were raised on this myth that, as you were saying, if we get a good education, then means we can get a good job, that we work for the 40 years, and then we get to sail off into the sunset. And that's a myth. That's just not the way it turned out. So I've got a new twist on that, on those three acts of life. If we were raised on the idea that life was supposed to be education, career, retirement, I think today we have a different set of acts going. And I talk about this with my younger students, with my grad students that I work with, that the first stage of life is not education. It is self-awareness. And we need to know who we are, what we can do, what we're good at, our preferences. And education is a lifelong thing, which is really important, I think, for our boomer generation to remember. So then the second stage is about generativity. It's about creativity. It's about creating value out in the world, in the workplace. And the third act, and this is really important for us, is service, right? Is taking the wisdom and the experience that we've developed over all these years, giving it back to our community. And I think in this attitude of service, we have the opportunity to reinvent ourselves, restyle ourselves, really incorporate a lot of who we are into the way we interact with people in the world today. So,
no, I think that this is really important to shatter these myths and actually to create new stories, because I mean we know that entrepreneurs in the 55 to 65 age group are now like tearing up the statistics. I mean, opening more businesses than young people. What would you say? You talked about style. I mean, what do you think are some of the characteristics of an older individual who wants to become an entrepreneur, start a new business, get back into the workplace? What do they look like? What are their strengths?
Well, I think that the strengths are many. The strengths are experience and wisdom, and just starting there, these are resources that younger generations look up to. And they want us to be mentors to them, not teachers, mentors, which means that we are listening to them and helping them solve their own problems, not telling them how it's done. Because we get dinged on that a lot, and I think that's accurate. I think a lot of us say, well, listen to your elders. I've been around, and this is how it goes. It's like, no, that's not how it goes. Things are different today, and we can learn a lot from younger generations. But what they need us for is to help them work through problems based on the fact that we've worked through a lot of problems, and we have a lot of scars along the way that we can turn around and use for their benefit. I think if I were out there starting a new business and I was involved with hiring or working for younger people, I would want to project a vital demeanor. I would want to be fit. I would want to be engaged culturally. I would not want to withdraw or sequester myself into a particular cultural lifestyle or set of cultural values or practices or tastes. Right. I would be open to new. You don't have to love hip hop, but it does have a beat. And
some of it's very creative.
You can't dance to it. So just kind of take a breath and open yourself up to something different. I think if you do one of those things every day and change your hair. Just change your hair. For guys, trim the sideburns, grow the sideburns.
Wear a hat.
Whatever it is. I mean, try something different.
It's interesting. There's a lady called Prill Boyle. I don't know if you know Prill. I interviewed her some time ago. She actually did an interesting thing similar to your looking at boomers and how they've reinvented their lives and kind of doing case studies. I know you're doing those for the Huffington Post. She did a similar thing with women who in their 80s and beyond did amazing things. But she said, do something every day that frightens you, that challenges you. And you surprise yourself at what you're capable of doing.
Absolutely.
But, I guess now that we know that this is a myth, that we don't have to lay down and, sort of fade away, what do you think boomers can do to accelerate this shifting in society's view of us, seeing us as more vital and energetic and so on?
Well, again, I think it's small steps that we need to do every day. I think we have to be the solution to our own problem. We cannot expect that to be coming from the outside. We expect, certainly can't expect government to do it. We can't expect other people to do it. We can't expect the media to do it. We have to be courageous, right? We have to start with ourselves. We have to go inside. We have to work with what I call the 5 stages of reinvention, where you start with an internal process of self-awareness and kind of reprioritization of who you are, what you want to do, and then workshop it. Use all sorts of tools. Journaling is an amazing process, which we may have not done since we were in our teens or 20s. I would take out the notebook again and start writing every day. One thing which is I think very supportive of our ability to reinvent is doing something which I call a 32-day process, which is to create a positive habit and do it every day for 32 days. And you will be amazed at what that does to your sense of yourself to have accomplished something like that. Seems small, but if you need to write 2 pages in a diary every day for 32 days, one of these days, one day you're going to forget and you're going to think, oh, wow, this is not so easy to do. You really have to concentrate on that discipline. So I think we have to give ourselves things to do to get out of our comfort zone, try something new, make it a small step, make it achievable, and then build on that.
Yeah. No, I think that also social is really a great, amplifier, that we've got so many great social, we can write a blog, we can do things to share our wisdom. And as you said, even just one sentence a day, just something that makes us push our own stereotypes about aging. So, John, this is always a fascinating conversation with you, and I know we've learned a lot. You've got a great website, johntarnoff.com, and also, what is your other one on Boomer Reinvention?
BoomerReinvention.com.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I encourage you to check out John's sites. They're very, very good, and I really appreciate your time, John. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Take care.